So I am walking up this hill. This is the hill from Get Reelin Hill that I could not even walk up. So I am so freaking proud of myself. Um, this is a small hill. So I'm about to walk up the real big hill and take a picture of that as well because I am done with the Get Reelin Hill program. Um, Let me see if I can take a picture of the sign. Yes, I am so done.
Hi guys, welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. I am so excited. We are actually in season 2 of Chemo Glow. We're actually moving to every Wednesday starting in February. We'll be doing lives every Wednesday starting at 8. So check us out. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our podcasts are available wherever podcasts are available, basically. Our podcast from last year, The Hill, episode 3. I wasn't able to do it live with my guest, but we're going to check out a little bit of episode 3, The Hill.
All right. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, DJ, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome to Chemo Glow. My guest today is DJ. The first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath, like you used to tell me all the time. Just take a deep breath. This is gonna be like really relaxed.
Okay.
All right. Well, DJ is with a great program known as Get Real and Beyond. I'll let you talk more about that. But the reason why I have DJ on this podcast today, he doesn't even know. He actually, you actually, not just the program, but you yourself actually put me in a different mindset after cancer. You remember when I used to come to the program, I could barely walk up that monster hill and down that hill, and my husband told me I needed to do something.
Yeah.
And I said, I heard of this program, I want to go. But every time I went in there, you were always positive. I didn't feel like I had cancer, even with everybody around me. So you were actually a very positive light. You actually got me to walking again, actually, because I barely could walk. I could barely breathe. I could do anything, like everything cancer taken away from me. You actually did that. You talked to me, and I think about what was going on, but you talked to me about my life.
Yeah, it was not expected. A little warning. It would have been nice. But,
Amazing. Like my husband always asked, how do you do that? And I'm like, it's so great. Like, you can do that. So
I appreciate that. Hey, you did it yourself. You took off with the skin line.
That was The Hill, episode 3. So please check that one out. Again, this is our first live podcast, and it's healing through exercise. Well, our first live broadcast, and it's healing through exercise. My guest today is DJ. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He comes with so many titles. So, hey, DJ.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Let me scare you off the first time.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to our guests.
Okay, so I'm DJ Amatuli. I am one of the trainers at the Get Real and Heal program in Chapel Hill. And I've been working there for what will be 12 years in April. And as of May of 2020, I completed my master's degree focusing on the effects of exercise in breast cancer survivors. So now I'm just continuing with the program, although we're doing everything remote for the time being over Zoom, but we're still, hitting the ground running and doing all of our classes every week, just a little bit different now.
Wow. Oh my goodness. When we did your podcast, first of all, my podcast editor happened to be there because there was no pandemic.
Yeah.
All three of us was there at your house. It has changed since then. And you just mentioned that you're doing them through Zoom, or how are you doing them?
We're doing them all through Zoom. The Get Real and Heal classes, and then also the UNC yoga classes are all done through Zoom. And not only do we offer them live, but we record all of the classes, and then we offer them to our participants through either a private Facebook group that's only for our group, or there's another site that we posted on that's secure with the password, so that's only for UNC people.
And you see, Talanya just said hi to you. Talanya, we both used to harass you back in the day.
Oh,
so it's so great. Who's part of the program? How has the program changed since I'm 9 years out now? I'll be hitting my 10th year in April. How has it changed since the time you started to now?
It's basically unrecognizable. So when I first started, there was only about maybe 10 people in the program, 10 participants. The way it would work is that one participant would come in at a time. They would work one-on-one with the trainer. They'd do their hour of exercise, and then they'd leave, and the next person would come in. And it was really great. We were seeing really good results for people. Everybody's exercise capacity is increasing. But the one thing that we noticed, or the two things that we really noticed, is we weren't serving as many people as we wanted to. And there was no sense of community. And that's a really big thing in this group that we wanted to get. So around 2013, if I remember correctly, we transitioned to group classes. So myself or Jean Owen, who is our other trainer.
I love Jean.
Oh, yeah. Jean's been there longer than me. She taught me everything I know. Yeah. So it would be just us and then a group of anywhere 5 to 10 people. And it was great because we were able to serve. Now we see 100 people a week as opposed to just the same 10. And there's also a sense of community amongst our survivors. So, for as long as I've been there and as much as I've picked up, I don't have the firsthand experience to offer to people about, how they dealt with this or how they found a workaround for that. So it was really nice to have other survivors in that same group that could, kind of walk people through what they had been through if they were further along in the process. And then the other thing that's changed since then is now we are not only open to breast cancer, we are open to any kind of cancer. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. We're still probably like 95% breast cancer.
Yes.
But we have expanded, and it's been great. I can't wait to get back and see everybody in person, because that's the part you miss. Is if you ever went to Get Real and Heal in person, you realize it's very little about exercise and more about like talking and wasting time. But exercise on the side. So but yeah, we're pushing through just like everybody else is in 2020, 2021. So.
Yeah, healing through exercise. If you get a chance, go back and check out the Heal episode 3 of last season, because in that episode, we talked about how I came to you. I could barely walk, and I talk about the heel.
Yeah.
That heel. Why you guys put a heel?
Yeah.
Or no, let me say, put the program at the bottom.
Yeah, technique you can get.
I'll never know. Right? I'll never know.
It's pretty
When
cool.
I said I was done, that was in 2012 when I did that video. I'm never done because guess what? After that, you guys open it up where you can still come.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
that was a really big part of it that I didn't even mention. But yeah, that's one of the most important things.
I came back at 8 months pregnant. I think I worked out more 8 months pregnant than I did before. But like you said, community. You talk, you exercise, you talk to other people who are going through. But one of the things that it doesn't feel like is cancer. Like everybody's talking about everything going on in their life, but people can relate to what's going on. So when we did our podcast, you talked about this amazing person that joined you guys during the process of not rebuilding, because you were already doing a great job, but the healing, the benefits of exercising and what it does for survivorship is really big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, I want to bring on my next guest right now. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. I'm so excited about her coming on. Let's see if we can get her in here. Hi, Dr. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. How are you?
I am wonderful. DJ talked about you last year, and I finally got a chance where I can actually bring you on. So thank you for taking the time out to be with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Jordan Lee. I have not at all gotten used to the doctor part yet. So I attended Carolina from 2013 through 2015 to complete my master's degree in exercise physiology with the focus in cancer and exercise. And that was under the direction of Dr. Claudio Battolini, who helped establish the Get Real and Heal program and who DJ knows very well. Then I took the year 15 through 16 and worked with the geriatric oncology program at Carolina doing some research in breast cancer primarily, and then returned to Carolina 2016 through 2020 to complete my PhD, again under Dr. Battolini's mentorship, and worked side by side with DJ. He was at Get Real and Heal doing much of the training, and my dissertation was focused around helping to evaluate what that program does for patients and participants who come in, whether they're just recently completed treatment, they've been, close to a year after treatment. It was a mix. And then they completed the training program, which was strength training and exercise, strength training and aerobic for 16 weeks. And then we would evaluate at the end of that 16 weeks.
So what did you find out about this program? And I know going in there, you see all of us in there. We're all at different stages. Some are at the beginning, some are at the end, some are in the middle, and some just won't go away. We're just going to stay. Because it's DJ, Jean. When I was there, it was Kelly. So what did you see? What was some of the results of that?
Yeah, so for the sake of the study, we had to set some criteria in order to help control some of the variation in the study, and that's just a scientific principle required to do. So we recruited breast cancer survivors who are within a year of completing primary treatment. So that means surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Some had all three. Some had only, one or two, but the majority were kind of in their 50s to 60s, women who had generally stage 2-ish cancer, breast cancer, had been treated with a combination of therapies. And we found the impact of Get Real and Heal in a nutshell is it's highly beneficial to these participants. We measured things from how does their heart help move oxygen around their body, how do their muscles use oxygen, what is their cycling power on a bike, strength and balance, functionality, simply, walking for 6 minutes of time. We looked at some immune parameters, which was not my area, so I can't speak intensely about that, but they would participate in some cycling bouts. So, different units of cycling, and they would have blood draws before and right after that. And we looked at how their immune systems were changing throughout exercise. And then all of those things were reevaluated at the end of 16 weeks. And when we looked at overall results, my focus was in sort of how they did on the bike, like the performance test on the bike, where we're collecting the air that they're breathing and we're looking at what their heart rate is doing, how their body is consuming oxygen and using it for work. And overall, from the beginning of the program to the end, these participants were able to produce more power on the bikes. You can say they were stronger cyclists at the end. Their bodies were more able and better able to use oxygen more efficiently in the body. So the strength they could produce and what their bodies were using for fuel could help to produce more energy, and they were stronger on the bike, which is a term we call aerobic capacity, which is how the body utilizes oxygen for work. Mm-hmm. So other things too that we're evaluating, fatigue. So one of DJ and I have a great colleague, Chad Wagner, who is completing his PhD this year. He's doing a lot of focus on the fatigue portion of the study. So stay tuned. Very exciting things there. So just overall, it's amazing the benefit that Get Real and Heal could provide multiple participants. And for me, it was really important to see both the data, like the numbers, as well as the participants that data is coming from. It's easy to get bogged down, in a research field that you're looking at numbers and crunching data, but not thinking about who's that coming from.
Well, Fine and Taylor wants to know how many participants were in your research?
So we had 35 breast cancer survivors in our survivorship group, and then we had around 20 or so control groups, so meaning women who had not had a breast cancer diagnosis. It's one of the big challenges is recruitment for this type of study. It was not an easy protocol in terms of the testing parameters. So 3 days of testing, 2 hours each day, and they had to be relatively early in the morning because we asked participants to not have caffeine. So for many people, the earlier but then being able to train at Get Real and Heal 3 days a week for 16 weeks is asking a lot, and especially of women who are, from women who are, they're coming out of treatment. They're just trying to get back on their feet, back to their sort of normal daily life and daily schedule with their families. So it was very difficult to recruit, and then retaining obviously is challenging as well. But we had a very solid sample at the very end.
That's good, because you just mentioned 3 days a week. That's a lot. And DJ, we have a couple of participants from Terry that was there. Talanya also did something there. I remember going to the pool with Terry. At one point, you guys had us out at the pool. There were so many different things that were going on. What are the benefits that you see this research having on your program as far as funding, more participants? Are you being looked at from the resource center at UNC? Are you seeing more nurse navigators pointing people in your direction?
I'll let Jordan take this one.
So what's interesting to me is having some interface with the oncology group, the geriatric oncology group in the hospital setting, is the word of exercise and what we were doing and the program we were offering is definitely gaining traction in our medical community, and the support from our radiation oncologists, our surgical oncologists, our medical oncologists is absolutely amazing and wonderful. We could not get some of the participants that we really needed to help evaluate this program without their referrals, without their support and their encouragement. So it's huge to see that blend, it's a blend between our academic studies in our research labs, but as well as into their medical clinics. And so I truly think, unfortunately, COVID hit right as our work is sort of wrapping up and we're able to get some publications out, and we'd like to spread the word and have more participants come see Get Real and Heal, and COVID really put that to a halt. So I'm not even quite sure right this second the impact, other than that I've missed seeing our participants. I've missed seeing the group, our medical oncologists. It's so strange to have been absolutely saturated with research and with this work for basically 6-ish years. You have combining master's and PhD, and then suddenly it just halts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think the cool thing about it, hopefully, is that it shows that this kind of thing is scalable to a community. I think, Jordan, is it right that we were like one of the only studies that was really looked at in a real like community center type of sense, where it was a place that people could keep coming after the study was over. So it's really like we were kind of, planting ourselves in the community so that these cancer survivors who come to UNC Hospital, even going forward, don't have to be a part of the study to join the program. And in that way, it was really unique and hopefully shows that this kind of thing is scalable around the country.
Right. So I would definitely say, a majority of work that's been done so far in exercise oncology research has been in a highly controlled lab or clinical setting. There is by far growing volume of research looking at community-based programs. And when I say community-based, we're including places like Livestrong. There's some private groups that have launched as well. Australia and Canada have some very well-established programs, I would say quite beyond that of what we offer in the States. And it's a difference in kind of medical system and support structure. But it is definitely a growing field. And the big issue is because we have so many survivors, especially with an aging population, the demand to help capture this growing field of cancer survivors, we need places like community centers that can accommodate the number of people that will be in need, that need an exercise program, and that need some of the special care that like someone like DJ or Jean can offer because they have the proper training. So it's growing, and we're really needing to transition out of a lot of these highly controlled settings into the community, but we need to ensure that what we're offering is still providing patients with solid benefit.
And speaking of Jean, she actually, after I went through Get Real and Heal, I started walking with her group. They walk mighty early in the morning a couple of years ago. And then she introduced me to the Live Strong program as well. So being in your program actually opened the doors for so many other opportunities, from Get Real and Heal to the Live Strong program to other programs where I went hiking, kayaking. Exercise was just the key of everything. And you just mentioned that, DJ, that you're going to be you guys have reached out, not just breast cancer survivors. So do you have a mixture of female and male in there now?
We have maybe 3 males who are regulars, but it's less about the sex and more about our connection to the specific doctors that work with each specific cancer. Like we took Dr. B or Dr. Battolini a long time to really get himself entrenched with the breast oncologist to get them to start referring patients. So we're well established there. So it's more just about getting in with the other disciplines and trying to get them to send people to. Because, we do see all types of cancers, but it's still probably 95% breast.
Yes. Someone said one of the silver linings of COVID is that we can now work out 5 days a week. You can now work out 5 days a week via Zoom. That's true. I just jump on, and you and Jean, you guys are on, and it's in that private group. That we can get on, right? So we can now do it 5 days a week. And it's such a community. Now, you were talking about like the oncologist, the radiologist. I used to do lay navigation at UNC. And one of the things, as being a lay navigator, we talk about the resources. And I would say you have to go to Get Real and Heal. And I actually had someone who followed up with me because I was like, just ask for DJ or Jean. That's just go in there, ask for DJ or Jean. And then I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Muss, which works with the older population, and he's referring now. It is getting everyone, it's like this whole community of people to actually work alongside with this wonderful program.
Yeah, Dr. Muss is one of our biggest champions for the program. Like one of the reasons we exist basically. So
he is a true legend, hands
Oh,
down.
yes. And his wife is amazing.
yes, she is. Very good. I've taken one of the personal
Plus, yes, I love both of them because, like I said, I volunteer. I'm the vice president of the PFAT committee at UNC. So I work alongside Loretta Muss, and she really, really, truly believes in your program.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we need is lay navigators and stuff to help people, like push people in that direction. Because I know one of the things I've heard from a lot of our participants, and this is probably true of any research hospital, that as soon as you're diagnosed, they sit you down in that room and then they run like 20 studies by you that you can be a part of, and it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
it is nice to have somebody, you know, on the inside for us who can really, you know, speak to what the program can offer and convince them, you know, from their own experience why it would be beneficial.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's important to have a participant who's been in the program to be able to speak to, you know, patients who are coming through, getting done with treatment. I remember a specific participant in our research study who she called me 2 or 3 times before agreeing that she wanted to come in to participate in the study, and just worried about the program, would it fit with her, you know, lifestyle? She was worried about it being too much, and it's all absolutely legitimate concerns. And, you know, coming from me, I felt I felt just biased in having a conversation with her. I was like, I can tell you, I think you'll have a very positive experience. You know, the bottom line is if you, for some reason, are uncomfortable, you don't like it, it's not for you, you can stop at any time, but it's just worth that try. So having a voice of a participant who's been there, I mean, we have, DJ, 10 to 12 year veterans that have been in the program. I mean, and then, yeah, you know, that's so important to the longevity of the program, because it's those voices that help. That's coming from someone who has been in a very similar journey as, you know, a new participant, and they need that camaraderie, I think, to really help support that decision.
Yeah.
It is a very amazing program. And again, when I was introduced to Get Real and Heal, it was because I was at another group. And DJ, the name, I think it's called Cancer Transition or...
Cancer Transitions.
Yes. So heard about it in that program. And when I did that, I had to get a doctor's note.
Right.
Go ahead.
You mean you had to get a doctor's note to be in Get Real and Heal, right?
To get in. Do you still have to do that?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So I had to do that. They told me I needed to wait, and I kept saying, no, I don't care if I go and sit there. Just let me sign up for the program. So one of the things that I really see the benefit of having a lay navigator or somebody who is experienced with the program is telling people that it is okay. Because I think I found out about it too late because it was a waiting list and I had to wait.
That's a good thing now is there isn't a wait list.
Okay.
So yeah, we have people just jump in when they can. It was one of the things that Jean and I really pushed for when we made that transition, is to get people in as soon as we can and not force them to leave after a certain amount of time was a big thing. And Jordan and I have both participated in Cancer Transitions, which is an awesome program too. It tells you about all the resources, you get nutrition information, stress management, and that's where we kind of like get a foot in the door with some people to tell them about exercise and then get them involved in Get Real and Heal. And I will say maybe the one positive thing that happened with this Zoom transition is it sort of, I think for a lot of people, it took the fear away because it's intimidating after a cancer diagnosis and treatment to go put yourself in this brand new situation that you probably just want to like maybe chill out for a little while and recover. I think the Zoom classes have allowed people to be comfortable in their own home doing the workouts, ease into them, do as many as you want a week. I shouldn't say that. At most 3 times a week to start out. And I think it's, you know, like Jordan said, she had that one person who was a little timid about starting, but this sort of works around your schedule too. So now there's way fewer barriers to entry for people to join this way. And then, once the pandemic's over, we can go back. If they want to try it out in person, we can do that too.
But I think though like a very positive, for sure, silver lining of the Zoom, you do lose some of that person-to-person camaraderie when you're in the facility. But one of the biggest challenges is accessibility for many participants, and I'm not talking about just Chapel Hill, Durham area, but being able to reach rural communities and providing interventions like this that are effective and they're enjoyable for our participants. So definitely something positive from this whole COVID change is that we've gotten the ability to really test drive how do we give Zoom type fitness training sessions. How do we get it out? Do we use Facebook? Do we use YouTube? Is it Instagram Live? Like how are we going to get these programs into people's hands and lives that really need it?
Yeah.
And maybe someone who can't travel 3 days a week, but if they can get even 1 day in a week because now it's virtual, then absolutely we've made progress. So it's been a really good opportunity.
And just to piggyback off of that, to answer that question that someone just asked, you can join from out of state too. In fact, our other trainer, Jean, recently, she has another house in Maine, and 2 of her neighbors have actually joined who are
really
there. Yeah, we have someone from Virginia. So that is a good thing, because the one thing is this type of program doesn't exist all over the country.
Yeah.
So having something like Get Real and Heal that can go online and bring people in, it's awesome. We have people from all over, and all it takes is medical history from your doctor and a doctor's note, and you're good to go.
And I say with this too, so with the medical history, it's not us trying to be, making it hard, like it's a barrier for you to get in. It's truly, we want a partnership with the oncology team. That's the only way we'll help to get this more established in the line of care, in the standard, transition, is that we stay in contact with the physicians. We're able to ask for their guidance, like, is this patient safe to participate in our exercise program? We obviously keep track of that as well, but it also keeps triggering in their mind, this is an opportunity for a patient, please refer. And we're dedicated to keeping that loop back and forth between how is the participant doing and, relaying information back to our oncology teams. If we notice trends or things with training, it's a great way that we can ask questions with our, oncology team. But that's how this stays. That's how the field stays evolving.
Okay. Yeah. All right. One of you guys want to take this question. So many times people think that we focus so much on the disease rather than the wellness. And with Get Real and Heal, I didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So I felt like that, everybody knows the disease was present, but we always talked about nutrition. We always talked about, exercise. We talked about life after this. You guys asked us about our day, what was going on when we were going on vacation. It was the whole thing. But at the very beginning, I remember I used to have to take, what was those tests, DJ, when we first started? Because I was at the very beginning of what I had to sit in a room.
Oh, you're talking about the ones that you did with Amber on the computer.
Yeah. So it's come a long way. And I remember where you had to take a picture of the exercise stuff and send it to me if I would miss it. But now, again, we do have Zoom. Yeah. Now, someone is asking about your website. Does Get Real and Heal have a website?
Yes, I wouldn't rely too much on it, because unfortunately we are not the ones who control it. It's part of like the bigger unc.edu website. So it doesn't get updated as much as we would like. But you can at the very least find the contact information for how to join the program. And then once you get in touch with us that way, we can walk you through everything that you need to know. Because I don't know if they've updated it since we went to Zoom.
Okay. All right, guys. Do you guys have any questions? Because my master controller in the background is saying I'm out of control with clicking on questions and asking questions. I can't stay in my lane. Well, we did ask this question. We did answer this question about the male and female. We still have, so you have 3 males.
Yes.
That come on.
We have more, but about 3 regulars that I could count on seeing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, that question may have been directed with the research study specifically that we completed. That was only women with breast cancer.
Yeah.
So that was female only. But yeah, DJ, you guys have mix.
Yeah.
In the
yeah, good. And you know, there's it all like, you know, goes together. There's no weirdness. I did, you know, I had the first man who joined, he was like, "Are they gonna talk to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, everybody's very nice. They'll talk." Everyone's in the same boat. Like, we all know what each other's going through. And you know, even going back to that question about, do we focus too much on the disease as opposed to the wellness? I don't quite know how to answer that, because, you know, some people, I think it's important to acknowledge the mental side that comes with a cancer diagnosis.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
For some people, for whatever reason, it's easy for them to kind of put it behind them and not focus on it. I don't, you know, it might be how their treatment was, or what their diagnosis was, or maybe something outside, you know, outside related. But I think it's important to acknowledge that it's there and know that it's a part of your history, because I think it also helps you then focus on the wellness aspect and, you know, how to keep moving forward and things like that.
Yes. I love what she said. It's not only a physical reward, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
You know, you get your self-confidence back, your spirit, you start feeling like yourself. In our podcast, we talked about this word, the new normal, and how we both kind of cringe.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. I feel like it sort of like puts a governor on what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And I've seen some pretty awesome stuff from our participants. In fact, 2 years ago, there's a big race in Chapel Hill called the Tar Heel 10 Miler. One of our participants beat me in it. And I think, so yeah, it's like, I think new normal is my favorite. I know where people are going with it.
Yeah.
And I get it too. Like, yeah, there are going to be certain limitations, but I don't think you should look at it as normal, because you can always keep making improvements after a cancer diagnosis. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be with your mental health too. And Fran was saying on that comment, like, if nothing else, the exercise, the thing I hear the most is that it gives people a sense of control again.
Yes.
You know,
I think that's the important factor, is it's traction of some sort in a journey that's been, you know, we have excellent therapies for breast cancer. Absolutely. We have, I'm speaking, UNC has fantastic team that's there and in the cancer, in our oncology units. But, you know, it's short chemotherapy is dosed. We expect patients to tolerate it reasonably well. There's things they can do to intervene if it's not tolerated well. But we don't really know until they go through it. And I think with exercise, one of the biggest factors is the participants do have that sense of control, like DJ said, but also they have choice. Like, it's not even control feeling like, okay, this is sort of within my grasp. It's like, okay, we can do these 4 different options. What would you like to do? What do you feel most comfortable? Do you want to be a bit more challenged today? Do you want to be a bit more relaxed today? Would you like to try something new? Would you like to do your favorite workout? It's one of those things that it provides a participant their own voice, that they finally get sort of a say and a direction, and not that they didn't with a therapy, you know, chemotherapy, radiation, but not necessarily that they could. It's sort of standard of care. Again, phenomenal team, but it's so out of their hands. I think that's finally now exercise is putting that choice back in their hands. And again, getting back to not just the physical advancements or the physical benefits that they gain, but that sort of self-confidence, self-efficacy, belief in exercise, belief in progress. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge.
I think the choice is an important word, because it also shows you that just like treatment isn't a one size fits all for everybody, the exercise and the rehab isn't either. And that's what I was trying to get at really when I was saying, when we talk about the disease and the wellness, is that the disease is different for everyone. So the way that people react to it is going to be different. And that's also going to affect the wellness aspect and what we can do for them exercise wise and everything like that. So I think it's just like the one thing I try and remind myself every time I'm meeting with a new participant is that I just have to meet this person where they are. And it's important if you're working with a trainer to find a trainer that isn't trying to think of like a nice way to say it. Some trainers
listen to you. Like if you
trainers really believe in their method regardless of who the participant is. And I think a good trainer will modify to fit the person.
What are some of your biggest like challenges?
Biggest challenges.
I mean, I will say straight, the first thing that comes to my mind, the biggest challenge with keeping a program like this afloat is funding.
Yeah.
It truly is. It's incredibly difficult. It's costs money to keep lights and utilities on. It costs money to have a facility just in general. The equipment is used consistently. If it breaks, if it needs repair, if you need a replacement, training staff, like they can't give this much time for free all the time. They're just very practical expenses that go into a program like this. And we want to be able to offer it to survivors who have already had an insane financial burden with their therapies. So, we don't want one more thing to be hitting their checkbook. We want it to be something they can go to. So I would say off the bat, that is the hardest thing about a program like this is funding. It's very realistic.
And I think, for me, that's really the only challenge. I don't see working in this program as challenging. It's honestly like the most fun, most rewarding thing you could possibly do. I mean, you should see just see the differences in people that we see in 4 months. And sometimes it has nothing to do with what they do on a treadmill. It's like maybe they just look happier at the end of it. And that's it. And that was part of our study too, is that we did surveys on how you were feeling at the beginning of the program and at the end. That's really what I care about.
Yeah.
So
I love one of the research components we had was just a feedback survey at the end of this research study, and it was based on asking about Get Real and Heal, the program itself, but as well as sort of our research days where they came into the lab to do some testing. And one of my favorites was just to read the open-ended comments that participants had about goods and bads and loves and hates of Get Real and Heal. And number one, they adore DJ. that is hands down. They're like, we love DJ. And I was like, that's fantastic. I'm glad, but we need some more info.
I was in the room when you said that.
Thank you, Madeline, for sharing him with us.
But it's amazing to hear. The one thing I think I read over and over was participants say, I wish I had started sooner. I wish I knew about this earlier. I wish I'd started it sooner. It's a message that we're working to grow in exercise oncology and in oncology. It's hard for someone who's going through chemotherapy to think, let me add one more thing to my schedule, and it's going to be exercise, especially if they're completely naive to exercise, have never done it in their life. And we're like, hey, let's start working out. I can absolutely imagine someone being like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Of course, but it is helping, again, that messaging, really getting the word out and the support out for sure.
And to go off that about adding one more thing to your plate, I see this, and obviously I've worked with mostly women, but you see it with a lot with women and with moms too, is that after this treatment, there's such a push to for them to want to go back to make everything at home seem normal again after this thing, seem strong for your kids and strong for your spouse. And it's it's a lot of pressure. And, you know, because you just want to make everything at home seem normal again, especially when it comes to kids. And I think it can, like Jordan said, it can seem like a lot to put another thing on your plate. But I think that's why it's important to take time for yourself. And exercise is one of those things that you can take time for yourself. And that's the other thing. Exercise doesn't have to be, you know, showing up to a gym for an hour and like sprinting on a treadmill and lifting weight. It can be a 30-minute workout in your house with some weights. Maybe you do some jumping jacks and some squats and some bicep curl. Like, it doesn't have to be what you think of it is. It is like a cliche.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing something. Just taking a little bit of time for yourself, you know, just even mentally meditate.
Yeah. And I think just getting started is the biggest hurdle. And, you know, whether it's in a community-based setting like Get Real and Heal or in your own neighborhood. And I think people get overwhelmed with like, I only have 20 minutes. That's not even worth getting started. Like, it's not even worth trying it. You know, walk for 5, 6. Wow. That's more than walking 0. It's little tiny bits. And like DJ was saying as well, you know, it's 5 or 6 minutes and you have some time to clear your head. Think about, you know, what you need to do the rest of the day. Think about nothing, just totally zone out. And that's definitely an important component of exercise is we're not talking about go to a gym and be in a full group session and, you know, grab your weight and there's pump up music. It's just a little extra challenge on your body that it's not used to. Like, do you normally walk 1 block? Maybe we'll try a block and a half.
Yeah.
Just the small steps that advance forward and grow.
Yeah. DJ, you, Jean were so great at, again, if I was on the treadmill, another one was on the floor, another one was at weights, you know, doing weights. You guys were so great at managing us. Making sure that, okay, you paid attention to us on the treadmill. This person is doing this, or this person came in and can't do anything at all. So great with managing our care. Some people completed the program. Some people, the distance might have been too far, but again, now you're doing it on Zoom. It's showing us another way where we can connect to their participants like we are. So I really do appreciate your time, your effort, the fact that we are doing research on healing through exercise, because it's truly a benefit. It is truly a benefit. I love it. And DJ and Jean, you guys shared so much. Let me see if I can find a picture of Jean. I think I have a picture of her somewhere on here. There we go. Jean and Kelly. Oh my goodness, I was big. Looks bigger on the screen, but you guys even shared in my baby shower. So it's like family, and you know, we really worked out at that place. You guys did so many walks. Like I said, I brought my girls to you.
Yeah.
When we finally could get down there and walk down the hill with a double stroller.
Yeah.
Back up. So I am so happy with your program. Is your program still located in the same place?
Oh yeah, we're still at the bottom of Giant Hill. Just for you.
That part.
They haven't changed the hill.
Well, I do love the fact that you guys are still in that location close to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because I would have an appointment and I would tell my honey, I'm just going to run over there real quick and see if I can get in and do a little session. But again, now you're live. You're doing streaming. That's so helpful.
Well, I think that spot was also good because it's not part of the hospital.
Yes.
So it doesn't have a medical feel to it. It doesn't remind you of cancer every time you show up. It's basically a cabin in the woods. And it's a good way to detach from the whole cancer thing. And like at the beginning, we don't talk about cancer every day. In fact, we rarely talk about it, but we're there if you need to, which is why it's sort of like a support group too. So you get free exercise and free support.
Yeah. And with us, we started with your relationship. We talked to DJ about his relationship. You were dating, then engaged,
about how I was
married, and now what's going on in your life, DJ?
I am 1 month away from having a little girl.
Oh, so excited about that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is she in the next room?
She might be asleep.
It's her bedtime.
Yeah.
Well, we still have a couple more questions before we close out here. So I want to make sure that I get these up. Now, this is Mike talking about type 2 diabetes and managing the condition with diet, exercise, and medication. One of the things that I don't think we've touched on is the effects of chemo, medication, treatment, surgeries after you with exercising. How do you deal with that when people are coming in with all these different things going on?
Well, I can talk about it just from the training standpoint, but I'll let Jordan do the more sciencey answer. So from my standpoint, like I said, even when we're just dealing with, if it was just cancer and somebody had no other ailments, whether it's diabetes or like a shoulder surgery, everyone is getting exercise that is tailored specifically to them. So like I said, it's not a one size fits all. That's part of the reason we do the medical history, is so we can see everything. And, if someone comes in and they have type 2 diabetes or something, we're still going to exercise, and we're going to be careful just like we are with everyone. And if someone's come in and they've had both of their knees replaced, we're still going to exercise, but we're probably not going to ask them to get down on the ground. The one thing I can say when it comes to any of these things is it is totally and completely safe for you to exercise. Obviously, you want to stay within what you're capable of, but it's safe to do at least to say start anywhere with a walk or something like that. So we would never preclude anyone from the program for anything. Okay. And then Jordan, if you want to go sciencey.
Yeah, I think I just want to touch on that it's the safety side of things is highly, highly dependent on communication. And I think that's one of the most important factors in starting an exercise program, is keeping the oncologist in your conversation, keeping your trainer in your conversation, your family in your conversation, being able to be comfortable talking through some of those things. And I think that's where Get Real and Heal is so beneficial, is that, and I'm going to say women just because that's mostly what I saw and worked with in the research trials, but they were able to talk with each other about different things they're experiencing, and even challenges outside of there's anything specific to the breast cancer diagnosis. One of the most challenging pieces I think that comes with some certain types of cancer therapies is something called peripheral neuropathy, which it's also you find with diabetes. So this sort of loss of sensation of touch in hands and feet that can be painful. It can just be numb. But if you think about, let's say you're really, really cold and you lose that, your hands, your feet get really cold. It's hard to tell where your body is in space. So that's a symptom that can be prolonged with cancer survivors and certain therapies. So when we're looking at exercise interventions, we have to be very careful about the things we choose for them. So someone who has, severe peripheral neuropathy, we're concerned about their balance. We're concerned about them kind of knowing where they're moving about in a room, that they're safe where they are, what they're lifting or moving, they can feel it, they can grip it well. So I wouldn't necessarily put someone with peripheral neuropathy on a treadmill. I would maybe choose a stationary bike or a stepper, something that has more body contact and control to help them. But that in activating the muscles, we're helping that neural signaling, with the brain finding the muscle. So sending that signal from your brain to your toes and helping to try and reestablish those pathways that may be damaged by therapy. But the key is communication. You have to stay, if something is painful, talk with your oncologist, talk with your trainer. That's huge. And should not be seen as a fault, should not be seen as a weakness. That is how we help keep you safe. It's our responsibility to help keep you safe and help you progress. We don't ever want to sour that relationship. And that is key from all standpoints, from the medical staff, from training staff, from academic staff. Communication is key.
Yeah.
That is so true because neuropathy, I suffered from it. I still suffer from it, but it's not as bad. I truly could not walk down that hill. I couldn't, sometimes I would just go and sit, get on the treadmill for a minute, and DJ would see that, and I have lymphedema as well.
Yeah.
So he would read everything that was going on with me. Gene will say, okay, it's yoga time. And I feel like that I had to explain it because they already knew, we already talked about it, and it made me feel comfortable about coming back.
Yeah.
You have people at different stages. Like you said, the person that outran you at the marathon.
Still working on that.
One, I think with that too, it's so critical that even between participants, don't be measuring yourself against someone else. Like it's the wrong metric. They don't have the same ruler you have. They don't have literally the same biology you do. So even though, they may be progressing a little faster than you are, or you feel like you're waves ahead of them, is to not get overly ambitious and confident or too hard on yourself. It's, again, like DJ said, meet everyone where they're at and help them grow from there. And I think it's just taking that patient perspective of, each day at a time. Some workouts are a little easier than others. Some days you just don't want to do anything at all. And those days are absolutely fine.
Yes.
Your body knows best. And there's times that it's going to scream at you that I need a rest day. Please let me stop. And you need to listen. There's days that, you're like, I really don't feel like it, but I'd be better if I did. And I'm just kind of don't want to. But the second you get out there and try, just get going, it improves. So it's allowing you to be you. We all respond very differently, and we need to keep our own goals and things very relative.
Yeah. That's actually the way you put it was what I was going to say, is like, in an absolute sense, exercise is safe, but you still, in a relative sense, it still has to fit you.
Yes.
And there's been times that people have come into the facility and I've watched them do something for like 5 minutes and just said, I know you're not going to say it, but I'm telling you that you probably need to go home, because I can see it in your movement today that you're struggling. Yeah. And it's just one of those days you might just need to go rest, or even like take a nap. I mean, it might not be like a physical thing, like you can't move that day. You might really just need to give your body a rest. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about trying to work with a trainer, is like, you need to communicate with them. Yeah. Because they're not gonna know what's bothering you unless you tell them. And honestly, you're not going to find too many trainers anywhere who have a lot of experience working specifically with a cancer population. So it's really important to communicate with them everything about your cancer treatment, how it affects you. One of the things that I see a lot is reconstruction, various types of reconstruction, and how that, limits mobility or causes pain in the chest and stuff. And like, that's part of your treatment too. You need to like keep in mind everything that went into this whole journey and how it makes you feel, and just remind yourself to give yourself some time too, because you'll get there.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush it, and it'll come back. I promise. I've seen it come back. And you just gotta remind yourself to take breaks when you need to. It's okay not to work out every day. I don't. And
yeah.
So right.
Well said. We are coming up on an hour, guys. It does not feel like that. But is there anything you would like to share to our community, our Chemo Glow community, about healing through exercise? Anything else?
I can wrap it up by basically saying in 12 years of doing this and hundreds and hundreds of participants that I've worked with, I've never seen exercise not help, even a little. There's always something to gain from it, whether it's physical, mental, or finding a sense of community, someone who's been through the same thing you've been through. I think only good can come of it. And I think you need to look at it as a total wellness. It's not about losing weight. It's not about like, you know, building muscle. It's just about kind of taking control, wellness, and, you know, finding something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I would say kind of with that, it's a technique to help you live your life better and needs to be looked at from a now until forever perspective. You know, I think about trying to get a little bit of body motion or exercise in. I eat every day, so I feel like my body needs a little bit of exercise every day. Some days you eat more than others. Some days I'll exercise more than others. Some days you don't eat much. Some days you don't exercise much. Like it's all in a balance. And it's important though to look at it as it's, even though we have like Get Real and Healed, there's a, you know, it's a program we call like a 16-week program, even though you can participate as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be this lifelong kind of approach. It's not a singular thing. We're not going to do it now and then quit. And like unfortunately, you can't really stockpile the effects of exercise.
Yeah.
At some point they run out. So it's one of those, it's just a little bit at a time. It will grow, you will get better. But like DJ said, there is a positive impact somewhere, somehow, just from exercise for everyone. I truly 100% believe that. Early in my training program, I worked with leukemia patients who were induction therapy in the hospital, and some of the sickest people I have ever seen. And if nothing else, they smiled when we walked in the door. Yeah. And it was huge to be able to have that role in someone's life, in some of the most challenging part of their life. But then exercise became such a positive for them. So it is possible to add a little bit in your life. And I'll close with saying, questions, like ask questions. We're here to help. We want to help. That's the only way we're going to help make this progress, keep growing. So in any way, if we can reach out on social media, emails, I am 100% open to being contacted. And if I can't answer it for you, I will absolutely do my best to try and find someone who can.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, DJ, for being my first guest of 2021. I am so happy that we're talking about healing through exercise. Guys, make sure you tune in to Chemo Glow, where we're going to be coming on every Wednesday starting February. Every Wednesday. And I hope you guys will come back sometime in 2021. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Dr. Lee. And guys, remember, the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Thanks for tuning in.